The moment Pramila Jayapal walked into the hearing room carrying a thick stack of documents, longtime observers of Washington politics sensed something was different. This wasn't a routine oversight session filled with scripted statements and careful evasion. There was a heaviness in the air, the kind that only comes when someone is about to say what powerful institutions have worked very hard to keep unsaid. Jayapal didn't open with accusations. She opened with dates, memos, and correspondence trails that stretched across multiple agencies, revealing a pattern of withheld information so consistent that it could no longer be dismissed as clerical error. According to her findings, a list of 47 individuals tied to sensitive investigations had been deliberately excluded from congressional disclosures, despite repeated legal requests demanding full transparency. At the center of the storm stood Kash Patel, a figure whose behind-the-scenes influence had quietly expanded across security agencies and political circles over the past several years. Jayapal explained that Patel had overseen or advised on multiple review processes where names were filtered before documents reached lawmakers. What Congress received was a sanitized version of reality, summaries stripped of critical connections, timelines broken apart, and key individuals simply erased from official records. Oversight wasn't being denied outright, it was being carefully managed. What made the exposure even more disturbing was how long this filtering system had been operating. Internal emails revealed staffers raising concerns about missing names years ago, only to be told the information was sensitive, not necessary for legislative review, or under separate classification authority. Each justification sounded bureaucratic. Together, they formed a wall of silence that effectively shielded influential figures from scrutiny while maintaining the appearance of legal compliance. Jayapal then revealed that several of the 47 hidden individuals appeared across unrelated investigations, financial influence reviews, foreign lobbying concerns, classified security audits, and regulatory enforcement cases. The same names resurfaced repeatedly wherever major power and money intersected. Legal analysts watching the hearing immediately noted that this pattern strongly suggested coordinated protection rather than coincidence. When names vanish consistently at the highest levels, it almost always means someone is ensuring they vanish. As she continued, Jayapal described how subpoenas requesting full lists were delayed for months, how document packages arrived partially redacted without clear legal justification, and how entire data sets were suddenly reclassified mid-review, effectively locking Congress out of oversight that the Constitution explicitly grants. In several instances, officials claimed records no longer existed, only for whistleblowers later to confirm they had been quietly transferred into restricted databases. The hearing shifted from political theater into something far more serious, a potential institutional cover-up. Experts in government accountability explained that this tactic, selective transparency, is one of the most sophisticated tools of modern corruption. Instead of refusing cooperation, agencies comply just enough to appear lawful, while strategically removing the information that leads to consequences. It allows systems to preserve legitimacy while quietly protecting those at the top. Behind closed doors, Jayapal revealed, she had been warned to slow down. Allies urged caution. Insiders hinted that pushing too hard could damage careers, funding, and political alliances. But she refused to retreat, stating clearly that democracy cannot survive when truth is filtered by those who fear exposure. As news of the 47 hidden names spread, journalists began receiving anonymous messages from agency employees claiming the list was only the beginning. Some alleged there were secondary lists, individuals not just hidden from Congress, but actively shielded from investigative teams themselves. Others spoke of internal memos that used phrases like contain exposure, limit escalation, and preserve institutional stability. Language that critics say often translates into protecting powerful reputations at the expense of justice. The deeper investigators looked, the clearer the picture became. This wasn't about national security, it was about influence. Money flowed through consulting contracts, advisory boards, nonprofit organizations, and private firms connected to many of the same hidden individuals. Policy decisions aligned with donor interests. Investigations stalled when approaching sensitive territory. Regulatory pressure softened just as financial ties intensified. It was a quiet system of power, legal on the surface, manipulative underneath. When Pramila Jayapal issued that warning, it wasn't framed as political rhetoric. It was delivered as a diagnosis of a system slowly hollowing itself out from within. She described corruption not as a dramatic exchange of envelopes in dark alleys, but as something far more dangerous precisely because it looks so ordinary. Spreadsheets adjusted, committees rerouted, reports quietly reclassified, information buried beneath layers of procedure until no single person appears responsible. Yet the outcome is always the same. Power remains protected, and truth is endlessly postponed. She explained that modern institutions have mastered the art of delay. When scrutiny approaches sensitive territory, reviews are suddenly extended. When deadlines near, legal justifications appear. When documents are demanded, partial compliance replaces full disclosure. And, over time, these delays compound until consequences vanish entirely. By the time evidence surfaces, witnesses have moved on, paper trails have gone cold, and legal time limits have expired. Corruption doesn't escape justice by being stronger, it escapes by being slower. The public response exploded across platforms almost instantly. Journalists launched independent investigations. Former agency employees began speaking anonymously about internal pressure to sanitize reports before release. Advocacy groups filed emergency information requests demanding the full, unredacted lists. Legal experts publicly argued that deliberate omission under subpoena could rise to criminal obstruction of Congress, not a procedural issue, but a serious federal offense carrying potential prison sentences. Within days, watchdog organizations compiled timelines showing how similar delays and missing information had occurred in multiple unrelated cases over several years, forming a pattern that could no longer be dismissed as coincidence. Each incident followed the same arc: initial transparency promises, followed by partial disclosures, followed by procedural excuses, followed by silence. Meanwhile, official statements rolled out with striking uniformity. Agencies cited classification challenges. Spokespersons referred to administrative inconsistencies. Internal reviews were promised, the same internal reviews that critics say rarely produce accountability. To seasoned observers, it was the familiar choreography of institutional damage control. Acknowledge concern, admit nothing, delay everything. Behind the scenes, sources claimed panic had spread through departments that suddenly realized their information management tactics were being exposed in real time. Emergency meetings were held. Legal teams reviewed past disclosures. Communications departments prepared narratives in case additional documents leaked. The system wasn't focused on transparency. It was focused on containment. Jayapal's closing message struck even harder as these developments unfolded. She reminded the public that democracies don't collapse through coups alone. More often, they erode through normalization. When citizens slowly accept that full truth is unrealistic, that secrecy is inevitable, that power is untouchable. Oversight becomes a performance instead of a safeguard. Accountability becomes a slogan instead of a reality. And the 47 missing names became symbolic of something much larger. They weren't just individuals removed from paperwork. They represented every investigation softened, every consequence delayed, every truth filtered for comfort. They were evidence of a governance model where stability for the powerful mattered more than justice for the public. As more insiders began hinting that additional lists existed, some even more restricted, the story shifted from a single exposure to a potential systemic reckoning. Lawmakers across committees started requesting parallel records. Journalists pursued financial links tied to the hidden individuals. Analysts mapped influence networks stretching across politics, corporations, nonprofits, and regulatory bodies. The narrative was no longer about whether information had been withheld. It was about how long the machinery of concealment had been operating and how deeply it reached. Because once a system learns it can avoid consequences through bureaucracy, it rarely stops. It refines the process. It perfects the delays. It trains the language. Until secrecy becomes policy, and transparency becomes threat. This moment marked a turning point where procedural corruption was finally being named for what it is. Not inefficiency, not complexity, not misunderstanding, but strategic obstruction. And as pressure continues to mount, one reality is becoming clearer by the day. When institutions hide information, they aren't guarding democracy. They're guarding themselves. When they delay truth, they aren't preserving stability. They're preserving power.